and Delta X-Ray. I'm your host Alex. Today I'm gonna give my final thoughts on the video game Fear 3. I think it's a very, very enjoyable experience. There's a lot of replayability in this game. An excellent tactical shooter. The gunplay is excellent. The only thing I think a little bit that the developers Warner Brothers didn't really pay so much attention to the first Fear and the second Fear by Monolith Studio, because those fears are much more suspense. And over here in Fear 3, I think they overdo the jump scares a little bit. And what you get then, you get a little bit resistance against it, immune against it. I think that was in Fear 1 and Fear 2 much better done. Much more suspense, much more time between each jump scare. So building up to a suspense, to a climax, and then a jump scare and then an anticlimax, basically like that. The sound design is excellent. The sound quality and the sound design in this game. Honestly, the audio mixing not so great sometimes, and the limiting. There's sometimes big volume jumps, and also something that's not great done is some sound effects and sound bites play themselves as individual samples, and sometimes you really listen that there's not like a nice gradual fade in, fade out in some samples and sound bites. So you get sometimes that you really listen in the game that it's just the individual files being played, and then there's just a little bit of a complete silence between it, and normally that, the human hearing picks that up very well, but if you have then even some white noise or some pink noise or some drone sound in the background still continuing, and then the next sound bite or sample plays, then you don't get that huge silence in the middle. This can also be related, by the way, I have to warn about that, with older audio codecs and older sound blaster, environmental audio extensions. They sometimes decoding to a modern Realtek sound cards sometimes doesn't really translate very well. So this can also be totally related to that. It can be if you play it on a period correct Windows 7 PC or something, a Windows Vista PC. And then also with the right hardware from that time, probably Sound Blaster or something with EAX, that you then all of a sudden get the right sound bites and samples. So they can be related to that. Yeah, other than that, I've experienced 2 or 3 little bugs. For the rest, the game really runs really well. In ultra settings, it starts being a little bit sluggish. Incredible the way they've done in 4 gigabytes of memory. Really incredible. Just to read here a little bit what Fear 3 is about, and you see a little bit also that was made by another studio where they're here already a little bit changing the story. But in Fear 3, Alma is in labor with a child conceived with Michael Beckett. Paxton Fettel is allegedly a sister point man. However, he wishes to see his brother embrace his family power rather than destroy it. Alma, by the way, Alma, the girl, Alma in Portuguese and Latin means soul, so that you just know that. Alma appears before her son numerous times, mostly in her child form, but also in her adult form. When confronted by the creep, she reacts with intense fear, as the creature was created by the horrid memories of her late father, Harlan Wade, and not entirely of her own influence. So here in this sphere, she's not so much the antagonist anymore. He cannot see this made by another developer. Through the game, Alma can be heard screaming as her contractions intensify and causing psychic disturbances all over the city of Fairport. At the end, when the point man and Vettel reach her, Alma is shown to be weak and unable to move or speak. Depending on player's action, her child will be taken from her by one of her brothers. She either disappears and possibly still exists if the point man kills Vettel, or is eaten and killed, absorbed by Vettel if he kills the point man. Interestingly, Alma's appearance and mannerism are changed dramatically in Fear 3. The obvious difference is her child from appearing to be much older than in the previous installment, as well as having a bloodied face, sleeveless red dress and brown shoes. And compared to her previously seen clean face, long sleeved red dress, and bare feet. The reason for this change is unknown. Well, I think it's known actually. I'll explain you why. Her adult form has also much longer hair than the other games, dragging on the floor behind her as she walks. Sphere 3 is the only game where Alma is never here to say anything, despite being quite vocal in other games, and where Alma is never seen attacking or killing anyone. Unlike previous games, Alma is not the main antagonist of Fear 3, not even technically an antagonist, as she never attempts to kill or harm the protagonist. I think you can see here that this is made by Warner Brothers and by a completely different studio, and you can see here that this is made here. Alma is much more the victim. So here there's already some progressive, leftist kind of liberal woke ideology already in there, where they've changed her over of being actually the antagonist to actually being the victim. Let's go back here to let me see, Fear 1. And then in Fear 1 you read a completely different story. Alma Wade was born to Harlan Wade and his wife Elizabeth Wade on August 26, 1979. Alma's mother died during labor, leaving Alma solely in her father's custody. For reasons unknown, Alma was gifted with tremendous psychic powers, and as a result, she suffered nightmares and was attuned to the negative emotions of people around her. Her father noticed her powers not long after birth and introduced her to the Armacom Technology Corporation experiments when she was 3 years old. Armacom induced Alma into Project Paragon, where they tested her for every type of psychic power, and she passed all tests. She was experimented on relentlessly to discover the source of her power and how they responded to external stimuli. When Alma was 5, she began to purposefully fail Armacon's test with the hope that the company would stop experimenting on her. Sometimes later, she set fire to the lab and the Project Origin facility and began to psychically attack the Armacon scientists experimenting on her. Her victims began to have vivid nightmares, sudden mood changes, and delusions. When Armacon realized that the only thing stopping Alma from doing much worse things to the scientists was her young age, they made plans to keep her alive but unable to psychically attack her employees by keeping her sedated. At the age of 7, Alma was recruited into Armacon's Technology Corporation Project Origin with the aim of creating psychic individuals from a psychic forebearer. Two days before her 8th birthday in 1978, she was put into an induced coma and locked in the vault and spherically structure located deep in the secret Origin facility, neutralizing her psychic abilities. As a note that can be found in Fear 2, Project Origin suggests Alma may have been already killed at least one person before being put into a coma. As well, she is seen with blood on her legs when ATC guards transport her to the vault. During the project, Alma was impregnated twice with prototypes created from her own DNA mix. That was mixed with the DNA of the Origin researchers, including Hart and Wade itself. So over here it was more like chemically induced. In Fear 3, it was a little bit more forced upon her. Let me say it like that. I'm not going to go farther on that because of YouTube, but there you go. She gave birth to the first prototype, the Point Man, when she was only 15 years old, and the second, Paxton Vettel, a year later. Alma eventually merged her consciousness with that of Vettel when she was 10, causing the first synchronicity event and prompting ATC to shut down Project Origin completely and to pull the plug on Alma. Life support was removed from the valve when Alma was 26, leading ATC to believe she was dead. According to Harlan Wade, her physical body died 6 days after the removal of life support, but according to Fear 2, Project Origin, her psychic energy continues to linger along after her heart stopped, fueled by the hatred of her angry, rageful spirit. So spirit, Alma, that means spirit, soul in Latin. However, she remained mostly dormant for 20 years as her spirit was still sealed inside the vault with her corpse. During the time, people in the area of her corpse would feel uneasy or ill, and that part of the city was eventually abandoned. Frightened by almost power, Armacon employees shut down the facility in which her body lingered, refusing to reopen it until 20 years had passed. So that is the story of Fear 1. Let me see. So yeah, Alma Wade was the first antagonist of the Fear series, and in 3 she's more like she's not really an antagonist anymore. She's a victim, more or less, in Fear 3. You see also that the ideology and political thing of a different development company, can completely change also certain dynamics in games. She's a powerful psychic who seeks revenge against Armacon Technology Corporation due to her usage of her in a series of inhumane experiments and secret projects with the aim of making her powers financially viable. So to weaponize that psychic energy. Her voice actress in Fear is Melissa Roberts. Her voice and movement in Fear 2, Project Origin, and Fear 3 were provided by Alicia Glidewell. So there you go. You see just here a little bit still of what they say. Fear First Encounter Assault Raccoon. The game story revolves around the fictional Fear First Encounter Assault Raccoon unit, an elite group in the United States Army tasked with investigating supernatural phenomena. With a mysterious paramilitary force infiltrating a multi-billion-dollar aerospace compound, taking hostages but issuing no demands, the government responds by sending in a special force team only to have them obliterated. Scooper. Sorry. Live footage of the massacre shown an inexplicable wave of destruction tearing the soldiers apart. That's one of the first things you see in Fear 3. With no other recourse, the elite Fear team is assembled to deal with the extraordinary circumstances. They are given one simple mission: evaluate the threat and eliminate the intruders at any cost. The player takes on the role of the unit's newest recruit, Point Man, a man with a dark past and extremely short response time. So he's very a little bit like a Jedi, leading the characters through countless firefights and witnessing paranormal manifestations conjuring up by a mysterious little girl in a red dress. Schindler's List. Although the atmosphere of the game was heavily influenced by Japanese horror, Monolith's primary goal with Fear was to make the player feel like the hero of an action film. To this end, they combined the slow motion technique called reflex time, a semi-destructible environment, and a highly detailed particle system in an attempt to create an as immersive and environmental as possible. Create an immersive and environment as possible. Another vital element in this is the game's AI, with Monolith employing a never-before-used technique to give hostile NPCs an unusual broad range of actions in response to what the player is doing. This results in NPCs who can also work as a team, such as performing flanking maneuvers, laying down suppressive fire, and attempting to retreat when under heavy fire. Upon its initial Windows release, Fear was very, very well received. You can say that again. With the AI garnering particularly praise. Critics also lauded the graphics, atmosphere, sound design, music, and combat mechanics. A common point of criticism were a lack of enemy variety and a weak plot and repetitive level design. The Xbox 360 was also very good received, but the PlayStation 3 version was met with mixed reviews, with many critics unimpressed with the port's technical issue and graphical inferiority. Yeah, but I can understand that. Fear is with the particles very difficult to run on that. It was a commercial success, selling over 3 million units worldwide across all 3 systems. So there you go. That was Fear. I think it's actually an excellent game, and I think it actually aged very, 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 very well. In the time it came out, it was not so well received because everybody was expecting exactly the same as Fear 1 and Fear 2, which is much more suspense based. This is much more a technical shooter, but I think it's for the rest really well done. I think actually the whole story of Fear is actually a good material. Also, Warner Brother owning it to just make a movie of or something. You can eliminate a lot of the technical military stuff on it, and if you just take the story of Fear, then it's actually an excellent story to make a movie of also, and also just a continuation of the franchise. It's really a shame because. It got very bad received because people were expecting exactly the same when they reviewed this as Fear 1 and Fear 2. And there's just a lot different in Fear 3 compared to Fear 1 and 2. Fear 1 and 2 are much more suspense-based, much more horror-based. Fear 3 has a mixture of horror with suspense. That I sometimes think, again, what I say, that they overdo the horror and they do it too much, and then it becomes insignificant. But other than that, I think it's a very good game. And the more years have passed, the more I actually appreciate it. It's a bit like Doom 3 for me. It's a game also that when it came out and I played it first, I didn't appreciate it. And now 10 years later, I actually appreciate the hell out of it. Both the art form, the direction, the way the engine runs, and yeah, that kind of creativity and a crazy design that they gave to things in the late yeah, in the beginning of 2010, more or less, 2006, 2010, 11 was a very particularly very special art form. They put it in the video games. So yeah, I appreciate the hell out of it. I think it's a very good game. I think has lots of replayability in it. Things sometimes a little bit incoherent. Some parts in the game, I think they're trying to do too many things and they jump from too many things. Too many different things all of a sudden, and it becomes sometimes a little bit incoherent. They are, in my opinion, trying to do too many things and becomes a little bit information overload. They change too many game mechanics and yeah, I think that they are trying really to put too much action and too much. The game is, in my opinion, too dynamic. There's too many things changing that becomes a little bit incoherent and sometimes difficult to follow. But other than that, it's a great game. I really enjoy it a lot. So if you enjoy it also, you can, on some sites, you can pick up the whole franchise of Fear. Normally it's like $20, I think, Fear 3. But on sites like GOG and a bunch of other sites, those key sites, you can sometimes pick up the whole trilogy for $5 or $10. So it's totally worth it to play. I really enjoyed Fear 3. And I enjoyed Fear 1 and 2 also. And they also are really, really different. So if you're looking for that, and then this is not the game for you. But if you accept the fact that it's just a little bit different, it still tries to be sort of a it's not a prequel. It's not a sequel. It's not a prequel. It's just a spin-off, sort of, where they still use then the fear lore and brand and story, but change it into a more military tactical shooter. And if you look at it like that, then it's really, really good. The gameplay is really good. The AI is really good. Map design is incredible. Sound quality, sound design is really good. Only 4 GB the whole game, which is incredible. The modern day game developers can take an example on that. So anyway, that was my final thoughts on the Fear 3. I enjoyed it really, and the more years pass, the more I actually enjoy it. The first played this game like 10 years ago, 12, 15 years ago or something. I played it the first time. At that time I didn't enjoy it so much, and I played it about 7 years ago again, and I enjoyed it way more. And then 4 or 5 years ago, I played it again, and I enjoyed it even more. And now, I think also has to do with modern games just being so crappy. I really enjoyed the hell out of this game, and I'm going to also just revisit Fear 1 and 2 now again also, and also a bunch of other games from around that time. I have a huge collection of games of that time, and let me tell you, they were way better than the stuff you have today. That's really my honest opinion. But anyway, thanks for watching and listening, and I highly recommend Fear 3. I think it's an excellent game. High replayability, just excellent. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening. Stay safe, take care, and I'll catch you in the next video.